So if you're looking for healthier hair, then pouring chemicals on your scalp and your skin is really not going to help it at all. Yeah, it's a marketing thing to be able to say, look, we have these incredible ingredients, natural ingredients in there. They're going to do wonders for your health. And it's a smokescreen because in actual fact...
Sam and Kit Wallen-Russell, who really took skincare into their own hands.
Twin brothers from the UK who are taking the skincare industry by storm.
Sam is a nuclear astrophysicist, and Kit is a geophysicist and author.
A Notre Dame grad and his twin brother are looking to revolutionize skin health.
The two launched a 2-year intensive research study.
Two very smart guys who knew all about bad skin at a very early age.
That woman at the end was our mum, and really she's the face which launched 1,000 questions for us.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back, boys. How are we doing? You both well?
We are. Kit's looking very weird today, but we're doing well.
I'm always weird.
Why is Kit looking weird? All I can see is just grains.
He just sits there like...
Yeah, I'm letting you talk. There's a bit of a delay.
As if you normally do.
So just to tell the listeners, there's a bit of a delay because Adam's in Australia. So there's a huge amount of... Well, I think it's this anyway. I think it's because there's a huge amount of distance to cover.
When I was at university, people used to say to me, like, they used to come up to me and ask me about things like rockets. And then they said, after I said, I don't really know about rockets. They're like, what? But you mean I know more about rockets than you do, and you do that for your course? And I had to explain to them I didn't do anything about rockets in my course. I wasn't a rocket scientist. But they're like, astrophysicist.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I have one more question though, Sam. At what point are you going to become the new Elon Musk?
That's a good question.
I would say you're better than Elon Musk.
Physics-wise, yeah.
Yeah, but also physically as well. And also
physically, yeah.
In every way, apart from just the money.
Physics-wise, yes.
Definitely physics-wise.
Yeah, but
although
also
Elon Musk did do physics, his undergrad was a physics degree. I don't know if you knew that, Adam.
I did.
He did, yeah. So he was on the physics. He liked physics.
Where did he do it?
A good university. I can't remember where
South
it was.
Africa?
No, it's American university. It's like
MIT.
No, it was one of the Ivy League.
Ivy League.
Pretty sure.
So it wasn't one of the top ones like Yale.
No, it wasn't Yale.
Harvard.
No, it wasn't that. But it was one of the
Anyway.
good ones. So I can't remember. Anyway,
Okay.
Moving on.
He's better than Elon, isn't he, Kit?
Yeah,
Ask
communication-wise,
Elon.
body-wise.
We're gonna go for we hope a different structure for this call today. Okay, so it is a one question only / it can spin off in any direction. But you guys don't know at all what the question is, even though you have heard it before. But anyway, so are you ready? Are you ready? Get those minds going, boys. The question is. It was all around not ingredient, I don't know what the phrase is, but it was biotin. Do you remember that one that we were talking about the other day? Yes. So the question I had was, and so you can take that, you can have it in two forms. You can either consume it, through your mouth, or you kind of put it on your hair. So my question was, what's the better way to improve your kind of, your natural levels of something? Is it simply putting it on you, or is it consuming it through your mouth?
So you were saying for health?
Yeah, well, or say if you were trying to boost. So maybe we'll go back a bit then. So biotin. Do you remember what that? It was Was it B? Is it B1?
Vitamin B or something.
Yes. And vitamin B and it was all about like hair loss or whatever. I think was one of the things.
Yeah.
It does many. I think vitamin B supports many things, right? But the main question is, so especially with hair, right? You would apply it to your hair, but you can also obviously consume it orally, I guess. So, so my question is, in your opinions, is it better to put something on the target area or to consume it?
Good question. It depends what it is, really. But I think in this case, you need to go back a couple of steps. I don't know a huge amount about biotin, but I think often what companies do is they say they put these so-called ingredients or so-called wonder ingredients in their products, which are topically applied on the hair or the skin, thinking that you'll immediately get the benefits on the point where you put it on. Whereas in actual fact, really what you need to do in a lot of cases is you need to, the body needs to absorb it. So, and then it distributes it around to the rest of the body. It's a very basic explanation because I don't fully know the answer. But think about vitamin D, for example, from the sun. Loads of people in England who have vitamin D deficiency, they take tablets in the winter, but you can't absorb as much through orally ingesting it as you would get from the sun. So absorbing it through your skin. Sorry, not absorbing it. So the sun hits the skin, and then the skin produces or helps the body produce vitamin D. So that would be the opposite to that. But in the skincare industry, what they do is they often put things in their products like vitamins and all of these so-called wonder ingredients because it sounds quite impressive and good. But the question is whether putting it topically on your skin or your hair actually really has much of an effect.
Yeah. And the other question too is great them saying, well, you've got biotin in your products and it's for hair loss and whatever. So if they're putting in the topically applied product, then they're saying, well, everything gets absorbed and circulated around the body. So at the same time, all of the chemicals they put in next to it, then by their own admission, are going to get absorbed and circulated around the body. So you can't have it both ways. If you're going to have something absorbed, then if you're putting those chemicals in, then that's terrible for the whole body.
Yeah. So as Sam says, that's a really good point. It's often these ingredients, these so-called wonder ingredients, or they call them sometimes active ingredients.
Active.
Because biotin is just vitamin B7. And what companies do is they put them in the products, often to use it as a smokescreen for the rest of their ingredients.
So as a marketing.
It's a marketing thing to be able to say, look, we have these incredible ingredients, natural ingredients in there. They're going to do wonders for your health. And it's a smokescreen because in actual fact, they're putting it in a product which has a huge amount of synthetic chemicals in it, which are going to be quite damaging to the body and the skin. And actually, you don't need to research far, but biotin isn't effectively absorbed through the skin. So again, the question is, if it isn't effectively absorbed through the skin, what really would be the benefit of putting it in skincare products, apart from trying to show that you've got some wonder ingredient in your products and making consumers feel better about the product?
Yeah, I mean, you've given that perfect answer in a way, right? You've given us two examples already. I feel like there's a difference. So vitamin D, you said almost like the best way of consuming it is direct sunlight, right? Then in this case, you said for vitamin B, simply applying it on the body probably isn't the best way of like getting it into your body and around your system, right, or whatever. It's dependent
through like ingestion, eating, or like through oral supplements. But that's quite common knowledge. You don't need to be like a scholar in chemistry or anything to know that. You just need to do a Google search. So I think again the fact that people are putting it in their
you say that, mate. You say that though, but there's so much information online, right? Like, and like these companies as well themselves, right? Will be promoting apply it on your skin. They're not going to be saying don't consume it, whatever. But it almost, like you said, it is a bit of a smokescreen, I guess. If they were really trying to tackle the problem, they probably would be promoting the supplements as opposed to.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be fine if they made products that had B in it a bit just to help on the off chance that the small percentage would be absorbed, and then also it could be used maybe for the ecosystem on the skin too. But with it, if they then didn't add the chemicals next to it, but then it's just sort of a misnomer to talk about the health of your hair and hair loss and hair regrowth when you're piling chemicals onto the product. So in a lot of these chemicals, we talk about absorption. So a lot of the chemicals can be absorbed through the skin.
That's a really good point.
For your whole body and wreak havoc on the whole body, go to your heart, your lungs, or your organs. But also they can change the ecosystem on your skin that then...
I think that's a really important point. Body. Yeah. So there's two things there. One, these chemicals in cosmetics and stuff like that, what they really do is they can upset the microbiome. And a weakened or damaged microbiome has been linked to things like increased hair loss and loads of other things, skin problems and stuff like that. So if you're looking for healthier hair, then pouring chemicals on your scalp and your skin is really not going to help it at all. I think the second point, which you made, which is a really good point there, is that there's a study which came out a few weeks ago now, and they found that these things called forever chemicals, which are chemicals which just stick around a long time in the environment, PFAs. Yeah. And the study said that these things are found in cosmetics, these forever chemicals, and they found that they can be really readily and really easily absorbed through the skin and stick around in the body, circulating around the body for a long time. So again, putting these chemicals on your skin doesn't just have a really bad effect on your skin, your hair. It has a bad effect on the whole body, and that would be the question: what damage are we doing to our whole body by putting on these chemicals?
How good is the skin at preventing maybe some of these chemicals that, from entering into your system? Because does it not, can the skin almost kind of preempt what's good and what's bad, or what's good for the body or not?
That's a good question.
That's another question. Adam, multi-layered question. I think you start basically.
Basic.
Change base. Very basically, if the skin microbiome is healthy, it's there. It acts as a barrier from anything coming in which it doesn't want, say, absorbed. So if you have a really healthy skin microbiome, high in biodiversity, as we always talk about, it's there as a protective barrier from things like harmful bacteria, which might want to colonize the skin and get into the body, or even harmful things in our environment like chemicals. So it's really good at stopping things. But what we're doing in the Western world is we're stopping its ability to be able to act as this barrier by damaging it, destroying it with chemicals and our Western lifestyle.
And because it interplays with the actual physical makeup of the cells of the skin too, because once the whole ecosystem is healthy, then the skin barrier and the cells, they are then much better at protecting against all these chemicals that are supposedly going to be absorbed too. So they play all together, don't they?
Yeah. In theory, though, in a healthy state, the microbiome on the skin, if it's in a healthy state, it should be able to filter, because some stuff you do want to absorb, right? Some nutrients or whatever would want to be absorbed via the skin into the body,
Yeah, so that's why, when you have like an allergic reaction, whatever, it's because you put something on your skin that it doesn't recognize, or supposedly doesn't recognize, and sees as a threat, and that's what it reacts to try and get rid of that threat. So it puts the immune system into overdrive, and so that's how it does it. But most of the chemicals that we're putting on our bodies, they've never been seen by our bodies before, only in the last 75 years.
Yeah, so Adam, isn't it? See it a bit like this. A bit like, let's take the Battle of Troy. When they had the walls, any outsider which comes in or which comes up to the walls, which is not from inside the city or is not an ally, they shoot out and they kill. So that's a bit like the skin. So if it sees anything as a threat, it wants to stop it from entering. So really what happens is, if you have a healthy microbiome, it's really good at discerning what is healthy and what is not for the skin of the body. But if you have a damaged microbiome, even things which are healthy, it can react to.
Is an allergic reaction the sign of a healthy microbiome? Because in that case, right, it's almost identifying that this is not good for the body. Whereas if an unhealthy or not diverse microbiome might let that, whatever it is, enter the body and not even recognize it, right, and therefore not report it as, and then flare it up as an allergy on the skin, or a reaction, sorry. Does that make sense?
Again, another great question,
really
which
good
has
thought.
About 1 million layers to it. But yeah, you're right, Adam.
It's tough though, isn't it? Because what we've seen in people who have terribly damaged microbiomes is that they can react to anything that isn't a threat. So you can get an allergic reaction to, say, water, or going out, getting a small bit of sunlight, or something like this. So when your body's your skin microbiome's so broken down, but then on the flip side, the people say if you've got a stronger microbiome, you might see less of that too.
Yeah.
Talk about the CSW people.
No, sounds right. You're right, Adam. So obviously these reactions by the body, they're there to perform a purpose. It's a bit like when we get ill and we get like a bunged up nose and things like that. That's your body flushing out or protecting you against the harmful virus or whatever it is.
Yeah. But you were saying, is that a sign of the system working? So, and it's
basically.
Which is a good question. But when your system goes out of whack, so when it's damaged or it starts reacting to the wrong stimulus, then that's when you don't know if it is a threat or not, and that's why you get people. But once you have a strong, when your body is strong and working as it should, then it only does react to threats that are actual threats. So that's why you've got to discern between, is it a threat or is your body actually damaged? Because some people can use these products with like MI and MCI in them and have massive allergic reactions. And that's right, because your body is saying that's a threat and you shouldn't be putting it on the skin. So the rise in allergic reactions is linked to the complete use of chemicals. But then also you've got the damaged, the rise in allergies can be linked to the rise in the damaged skin microbiome and microbiome in general. So it's a bit of both, really.
Yeah. Another one for you then would be, you know how you have T cells, are they called, in the body that can help detect viruses or whatever, or kill viruses. Is there in theory a same concept on the skin, do you reckon? Because then my other question was going to be, if not, how does it know what's like a foreign agent or whatever, something that it doesn't want to have on the skin? And then would it simply be if you have 10 different 10 different microbes on your skin, they are known as recognized, and that's the ecosystem, and it's all fine, and anything outside of that 10 would then therefore be foreign? Is it like, is there any like kind of logic or protocol like that would be applied, or is?
So you're right, Adam. The skin microbiome is a crucial part of the immune system. So it signals, using all of those techniques you talked about, T cells and B cells. It signals to the immune system when a threat is trying to get in, and then it deploys all of those processes which are normal within the immune system. So yeah, you're absolutely right. But what a lot of people don't understand is that the skin microbiome is a really important part of the immune system, and people think it's just separate.
But
would you regard the immune system within the body, or is this? I that's how I see it. But obviously, then you got like, i.e., is the skin first force form of defense, and then if you get through that, then the immune system kind of kicks in, kind of thing, or is it all?
No, it's all one system. So I mean, again, I say this with certainty, but if you talk to scientists, often they don't really understand or ever define that. So the common line of thought was that the skin, as you were saying, Adam, was separate. But now it's all one big system. Let's just simplify it here. The body is all one big system. The skin microbiome and the skin is the first line of defense, but it's a crucial part of that immune system. All the immune system is just defending the body. That's how I see it. I would keep it that simple, because you can go into all the tiny little bits, but I would keep it that simple.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think I've got any more questions on the topic, actually.
But Adam,
and again, so you started off with
what you said about the T and B cells. The skin microbiome basically does act as the first line of defense. So if there's a harmful microbe or a set of harmful microbes which are trying to invade the skin, then what a healthy skin microbiome should do is see them as a threat and then set off loads of processes which stop those harmful microbes taking a foothold or even worse, entering the body.
Yeah, I wonder what they are though. Because I get T cells within the body, but I wonder what is on, like, physically on top of the skin, or just literally sitting just below it or whatever.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm not sure about the absolute physical
biological name or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Does it come up in your thing with the TSW people? I thought it did.
No, it came up when I was doing things about autoimmune diseases. So I learned about T and B cells and stuff like that. Yeah. So again, as far as I'm aware, and I think everyone needs to simplify it.
Yeah, but you remember the presentation that you guys gave next were about T cells and remember autoimmune, understanding that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't remember what that was. I didn't do it, but you did.
Yeah, but what Adam's asking is, where are these responses happening? Are they in the skin or are they in the body? Because often these things are sent by the bloodstream. So the skin signals say, I don't know, on your hand, you've got either a cut or like an infection is trying to take place. So then the rest of the body hears those cries for help from the skin microbiome and sends the right reactions and processes to be able to try and stop that. That's it in a nutshell.
I mean, one way I could say I could definitely understand this. The part the skin has to play is like identification, right? Hey, something unusual, whatever is here, within the body, get ready, kind of thing, or be prepared. Maybe one kind of process that goes on, possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, I love the idea that the skin is the first line of defense. But I'm just curious as to how exactly it enforces it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than like
to learn more about that,
because in my next say that again. Sorry.
I said that'd be a really good one to do, like a future podcast on, because that would we would have to go into depth.
100%. Because my thinking was, if it is, like I said, the example of you've got 10 different microbes on your skin, whatever, right? If there's the 11th one comes along and it's unknown, then it's treated as, bad, right, kind of thing. Because, like, again, like, you don't know what you don't know in a way, right? So how does it do that? Or how does the body detect stuff that's never been seen before, other than simply saying, I just don't know what you are, right? Which I believe is a lot of what goes on in the body when it comes to viruses and stuff like that, I think.
That's a really good point.
Almost like leaves a marker, right?
Well, this isn't the immune system, we would need to research more about that, but what we do talk about is things being, when we're talking about microbes, as things being alien to the body. So if it hasn't encountered it before, like you were saying, if it hasn't encountered it before, then it's seen as alien and a threat, mostly. So it can, if it hasn't seen... Go on.
But I agree. But then on the flip side, that would be detrimental, right, to the concept of you want as many different variants on your body, right, on your skin, because that then equals diversity or greater diversity. So do you know what I mean? Like, there's like, again, who's to say this new thing that comes along isn't actually good and it can actually live harmoniously amongst all the other microbes on your skin? You don't know, right, until it tries it out.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, and the concept of good and bad microbe is a myth too. So it's not like, the way I see it, Kit, you can tell me if that's wrong, but it's not like as soon as a microbe comes along, it's killed by its things. It's more about when it starts overgrowing, when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not very clear science. I don't think anyone fully knows.
And maybe a problem I'm bringing into this topic is comparing like chemicals and microbes, which are different things, right? Chemicals are like artificially generated. Am I right in saying that? Like, whereas a microbe is a living organism. So therefore, the living stuff you would hope can live on your body, whereas simply just putting like something that's artificially made on your body probably will never work well. Or am I wrong?
But again, I think there's two. When the chemicals is the one that we do more research into. There's two facets to the chemical one. There's one that a chemical can actually be a threat to your body's systems and break down the health of the systems within there. So that's one part of the chemical. And two, it can also be alien. So you could have chemicals that have been encountered for years or many, many thousands of years by the body, and we know are bad, and the body knows it's bad, and that's why it reacts. But then there's now, in the last hundreds of years, the amount of chemicals that have just been made synthetically that the body also doesn't know that they're alien to the body. So there's the two facets. So it can be alien, so it reacts to it because it's never seen it, and then also it can have hugely harmful effects on the body.
Okay. Have you guys got any other points on this topic, or any other questions you want to pose to this group? Not that I can answer it, but
no, I like that thinking there. It'd be nice to do like a more in-depth one about how, say, the immune responses happen in the skin and stuff like that. Because again, a lot of these things are by no means a clear science either. So it's one of those topics.
I find it interesting just purely out of interest. But secondly, to your point, right, where what you guys are talking about is treating your skin well, and again, as a motivational tool, if you don't, you then are more susceptible to open up your body to whatever things that can hurt your whole body health eventually, right? That's a cool concept, right, to understand, and therefore take it seriously, basically.
Yeah, and the whole, doing the detail, the nitty gritty would be really interesting. But the main thing for everyone to understand, no matter whether you understand or hear about the T cells, blah blah, is that if your body is at a lower health than it should be, any part of the body, then that can leave it open to attack from things that you don't want in or on your body, and it can make your whole health worse. So if you want to lead a brilliantly healthy life, then you've got to stop these things that are killing the health. And we forget about the skin, basically.
Basically, to make it really simple and to sum up, what Sam's saying is that every part of your body needs to be balanced and healthy in order for you to be healthy. So historically, people would be really big on eating the right things for their gut and then getting out and doing loads of exercise, but then would come home and destroy their skin. But we now know that the skin microbiome, unsurprisingly, is a crucial part of the whole body systems. So if you have that unhealthy, it's going to have a knock-on effect. And
because we're talking about immune system, the skin microbiome being damaged, like we've said this before, but it's linked to all these internal allergies, not just skin allergies. So it can affect your internal immune system. Not that it's any different. Like
so, basically,
it's all the same.
Our latest research shows that if you have a damaged skin microbiome, reduced in biodiversity, that can lead to loads of whole body problems like food allergies, asthma, even things like Parkinson's and things in the brain.
And we don't know the exact processes because no one problem comes about just from one thing. There's always a multitude of factors. So whether it's the different specific parts, is they can all play into one thing and give you a health problem. So you just got to get all your parts working the best they can. That's what I say.
That's a great summing up. So you have to get every part of whole body health optimized for your health.
There we go. All good.
I actually like how we started off with something which seemed totally different, and then we ended up there, back to our main conclusion.
Yeah.